All right, guys, Bolt here. We're back again with some SCSP Studios, the side channel, passion channel. This time we are doing some more, well, technically more of my thoughts. This time we're gonna go over Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. We did do a my thoughts over on Tuesday with the Final Freddy's 12th anniversary news, which pretty exciting. But I'm like I was saying at the end of that video, I really think a lot of that stuff, like like we had the year of FNAF with like Ruin, Help Wanted 2 in the Finest Freddy's movie or the Finest Freddy's movie 2. I know we had like three big releases. I think they really should like hold all of. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing something on Sunday. Um, so I'm trying to think. Um, Biggest thing was just like I think they should release them all together next year. That way, it's just like Find It's Freddy's fan game stuff, mainstream stuff, movies, movie news, just like boom, boom, boom throughout the entire year having stuff release. I know we're supposed to be getting um Joy of Creation. That way we have at least have something this year. I did wish that would come out next year though. Um that way we have something. Because it's all we've been getting is merchandise. And a little bit of teasers here and there, but um so anyway, let's get to the Spider-Man stuff. So this is definitely my favorite of the Tom Holland stuff because even though his third film, No Way Home, is technically the better one, but that's just because you have so many big actors and nostalgia stuff that you're gonna love that as an older fan of Spider-Man than the newer stuff. Like if you were to skip that, you're still gonna like this better than like most. Like I would say, yeah, you're still missing some elements. He has some stuff missing from the iconic Spidey. He feels very empty because he feels over mentored. Like Spider Man is usually his own man. He learns from other people. He's smart, and we do get to see a little bit of that in this movie. Him learning the spider grenades, and we're getting closer to like Insomniac Spider Man, which technically is the more realistic Spider-Man because Spider-Man is smart enough to do all these little gadgets. People were like crying like, "Oh, Spider-Man doesn't do all this stuff." If he has the abilities and the resources, he'll do anything he can get his grubby little spidey fingers on. So, a lot of this stuff is understandable, and I really like the idea of like he can fix like all he has to do is find little parts and put stuff together. Um but here's the thing with like going through like the verses of the Spider-Man. Toby, I think Tom has the best Peter so far. Like I really do like Andrew's take on it, but he does feel very like they try to push him in the high school setting, but he should have been in like a college or like still he's like finding his life out section rather than trying to force that um young area. And like you can't really like skip out on Toby's time because it's kind of like they were for like it's that kind of time where like you're forcing adults to play young teens back then. And it's just he's never felt fully like a Peter, but I think he is the best Spider-Man in terms of just not like bounds or whatever. Like Spider-Man 2 is probably going to be my favorite out of all just because that fight is all of what Spider-Man is. And if we get something like that with Peter that has no connection to anything but himself, I think that would be fine. Um, but like Toby had like the Nightwing does it too, where just like they make jokes at the enemy as they attack them. Um, and they kind of make light of the situation until they have to lock in and deal something because something like can happen if they don't. Um, Andrew had some of it, but for some reason, I think him in No Way Home was the best version of himself, just because it felt very not. I was not gonna compare it to it, but Spider Man. Oh, what's that one project? Um, it was a fan made project that was a 3D animated. Um, and it just felt like that forced dark feel when and like it felt like he was emo Peter, when we could have just had a young adult Peter trying to figure stuff out. And I think that's kind of what I really liked about Tom's thing here was just like this is an adult trying to figure out how to get all the odds and ends figured out. I mean, we didn't really get to see a lot of Peter's personal life, but that is kind of what this whole movie is about is he's more Spider-Man than he is Peter, very similar to how Robert Pattinson's Batman is more Batman than Bruce because he barely makes an appearance and I don't think he has connections to Wayne Enterprise at that point. Um but so it's just like if we can get that jokester in the Spider, I really think we could match Toby. Um, if we can see more of his brains, we can probably match Andrew, and I think we would have the perfect Spider-Man. And then of course, I really just am tired of the MCU crossovers. Like it was nice seeing Jean Grey, because Spider-Man always has a big connection to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Those are like his go-to people. Every now and again, he'll talk to the Avengers, but I think that's more of like, Spider-Man, like he's worthy of being on the Avengers, which that's cool and all, but like, the X-Men and Fantastic Four normally treat him as family. And that is what I'm happy that they're setting up. Like Punisher, he felt forced, but yet like once you start understanding their relationship, him and the Hulk, perfect. You're seeing the like them being around Spider-Man changes how their characters have been portrayed to this point. Punisher's more like I don't care for anybody, and then once he meets Peter, he's like, yeah, we can joke around, have a nice time. Things are bad, but at least there's something to look forward to in life. And then like the Hulk, it's kind of like, oh, I'm scared of myself and all that. But it's kind of like someone who's thinking outside the box, who wants to improve stuff. Seeing another brilliant mind who wants to better stuff. Um, and I think another thing, well, I do miss Jonah constantly talking crap about Spider Man. And there's always going to be those haters, but I really do like that New York was a character in this one where it was like they support Spider Man. Like, yes, they did react when he did some of his more like instinctual things, but that's kind of how everyone is going to react. But like as soon as like they seen that he's trying to bounce back and doing his own thing and making connections and going out of his way for this stuff, there are people who are going to they'll ignore the news because you saved these so many people. I think he was perfect for that end. um the Ned and MJ felt extremely forced. I mean, I'm happy that it got like the band-aid got ripped off because I did not want this trilogy to be all about getting to that point, but it was awkward. I personally did not care for when Jean took over MJ and we had the whole like, oh, I remembered you, fairy tale kiss, remember everything. And then now we're talking about Ned possibly remembering, and a lot of people are like, oh, this, and this, and then like I really did see this short that made it so much sense. Is back in No Way Home, they did their handshake with him holding the ring, and there was a little spark. So I think the handshake made a magical thing where he would just like bounce back to remembering Peter, or at least have a good sense to set it all up. Um, and I really don't know if it's a good idea. Like, I know a lot of people want Ned to become that villain, but what I'd rather have him do is either as Peter moves on to stuff, or better like do his own life, or like if we have a Ultimate Spider-Man situation where he dies and we have Miles take over, it would be perfect for Ned to be a legacy character that comes over to help Miles, because I think Ned is supposed to be based on his chair guy, um, which makes it'd be so perfect that it's like, hey, this is the best friend of Peter Parker, the original Spider-Man. He's gonna help you now. That way, you can get like a good head start into your role as Spider-Man, where there's so many more like threats have like built up with Spider-Man in the past. Um, so I think it would be perfect for Ned to do that. Um, I am happy that MJ was, she was like, yeah, no, I don't. I am sad that everything happened, and of course, I am angry that you would take some decision out of my hands, because I may not be that girl that you loved, but I'm still that person, and I'm still gonna feel a certain way about this situation. And I'm extremely happy that it did. Um, I think it's best for it that we move on, and uh, MJ had a ring on her finger. And I think it means that finally the boyfriend proposed, and that means she's going to go on her own way. And I want that door to be closed behind her. While I would love Zendaya and more Tom Holland on screen, um, I think the way they set up the story, they need to close that door. I really think they also need to close the door on any past or like very iconic love interest for Spider-Man, because I'm done with the Gwens, I'm done with the Mary Janes. I do not want a redhead to show up saying, "Oh, I'm MJ, but I'm actually Mary Jane this time." I don't want that. I don't want none of these basic persons to be there. I want a Batman and Wonder Woman situation, or a Batman and Catwoman situation, where there are somebody in his league, in his situation, that he's not going to fear that particular person. Like, he's always going to fear someone coming after them through them, but it's just like, it would be perfect for a Black Cat to show up and have a little bit more heart as she learns about Peter. Or we have, I think there's a lot of people saying, instead of Scott getting with Jean this timeline, we get Spider-Man. And while I don't see that, I see them more as siblings. I do kind of see why we're setting up Peter and Jean to have a relationship, because I think if anything happens to Peter, that would be the perfect time for her to like bend to the opposite side and Phoenix Force takes over. I think that would be perfect. Um but I'm more of like She-Hulk, Tigress, a lot of those other people I think would be perfect for Spider-Man. Um, and I think that's what they really need to do. I think if they finally get a Black Cat into this situation, it would be the perfect movie. Um, because I would like the fifth movie to actually like, I would love for them to be the like full end, the end game, but it's like, I think Peter needs a fallback, and then realize that he's more desperate by like, he's just looking for someone to fill that role. So finding Felicia they build up a whole relationship. They still do the whole bat and cat, but with Spider and Black Cat, and it's back and forth. Um, um, and then kind of like they end it with like maybe Black Cat would have made that jump, but she kind of sees Peter needing to move on. I think that would be perfect for. I know it would be a fast track for a Black Cat, but I think that would be perfect for that relationship where it's just like they dated, she still exists so she can come back, but I think they need to kind of like do their run real quick. That way Peter has his, he can put that on the list. And then definitely move on to someone that's in the game. Um, Trying to think of other things. We've talked about Hulk, Punisher. His Actually, it's very similar to the New York as a character. Having the police kind of side with Spidey is nice. Um, the issue though is we really haven't seen the Kingpin do anything. So I wonder if the Kingpin is like going to happen by the fifth movie, where all of New York gets turned on people. Um, but it's kind of weird they would do that when Spider-Man exposed a one of their big like uh, authorities to be doing what they're doing. Um, so it's kind of weird we didn't do Kingpin this time. So it's kind of weird. I really want to know what happened with that. I wonder if it was in the time skip. Um, and another weird thing is we didn't see any Daredevil. Um, yeah, shit. Apparently, there's a meteor storm tonight. Damn, I'm a little sad if I'm because I don't want to stay up that late. Um, Trying to think of other things. So the police, New York, Kingpin, Daredevil. I mean, like I said, like I would really like for the fifth film to have more personal connections, or like see what he does aside from get flowers for Aunt May's grave. Um, that way we can kind of see him have his own life and it be more than just Ned and MJ. Um, and like I said, get away from a lot of the MCU connected universe. I know you're gonna run into some people because New York is one of the most clustered hero areas ever. Oh, I think we did get to see Miles in this movie because I feel like it's weird. Um, it kind of makes no sense because we get to see a little boy flip at him, and a lot of people are saying that's Miles, and like I think that's perfect because I think they confirmed that in Iron Man 2 or one of the Iron Mans there is a fan that does the whole like mask and glove and does the whole like uh Iron Man pose, and that was supposed to be Peter, and that's him to be a hero, and that's supposed to be Spider Peter's with Miles, the mentor handing off kind of like you're gonna be great one day, I'll be behind you kind of situation. or like we share. The only weird thing is like I think it was like freshman year when we saw his uncle because his uncle got caught. He webbed him to his car, and he mentions his nephew, and it's kind of like it's been like 8 years or so since then. Actually, it's been longer because 8 and something years in Peter time, 5+ years for the blip. So it's been 13 years. So he would have been a teenager if he didn't blip. Um and then the only other thing I really wanted to talk about, just to kind of like finish this up, was the weird thing with was it Yelena? The new Black Widow. I hated it. I know what they were doing, making fun of like Spider-Man keeps his mask on and all that. But it's kind of like it felt weird and awkward. Um and like I really hated the whole situation with like you're small potatoes, we do big potatoes, even though we're all street tiers and technically you're the closest thing to going higher tier, and we're going to call you small potatoes. And it's not like you weren't an Avenger or something, because the world didn't forget that. Well, I don't know if they ever made it public, is the thing. All I know is Tony was like Avenger. Um, but that would definitely make sense if they didn't do that. But still, it's kind of like he ran with the originals. He ran with the OGs. All of you guys are shadows or side picks. Why are we trying to outdo Spider-Man, the literal best hero of New York? You know, all those people love Spider-Man. They don't know you though. You know, they'll have merchandise of Spider-Man, but they won't know the new Black Widow. They just know you're some worldwide hero. So it's kind of like you aren't doing anything for the people of New York. Um, and Spider-Man has technically done more than she has. Not to put down her things, but ugh. Um, I think that's about it. It just, yeah, if they kind of adjust it where no MCU, no interference, let Peter be his own guy, and I'd say probably make it to where we get a more jokey Spider-Man now that he's kind of like moving on, and not to mention he's stronger now. I know a lot of people are like Toby's this, Toby's that. Toby is the most battle ready. I think he's the most like he's been there long enough to do so. Andrew's probably the one that has the most like he's used to like the extra little tech and stuff. Um but Toby with his mutation, not Toby, with Tom, he's got a mutation now. And I think that'll definitely make him the strongest Spider-Man out of the three. Um but yeah, that's kind of like the one thing I kind of wanted to end it on, is just like Spider-Man needs his time. We don't need other people's time. We need his time. We need to see him be the jokester, be the light like bringer, as it were, to a very dark situation. So, but anyways, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Is just like it was a good movie, best of Tom's. Um, we need him to be more Spider-Man esque. For it to be him to actually have an amazing run. Um, I want him to actually have his own villains come in, and them have no connections to any other MCU people. Um, Only reason, if there's ever going to be anyone who like crosses over, it has to be Fantastic Four or X-Men, or Daredevil. You know, people that are known for New York. Not no Avengers or anything. I'm done with the Avengers. Um, I think Ned needs to take a back seat. I do not want to see MJ this next movie. I would really like Black Cat to show up just to have a little fling. That could possibly be more, but it doesn't happen. Um, and I want him to be on his actual path of like a love interest on the sixth movie. And then after that sixth movie, I kind of want him to be what all the others were to him. I want him to butt in movies. I want him to be the like new guy that shows up to other people's movies just to say that only reason you're watching this movie is because Tom Holland's Spider-Man is there. Just like how they did like, oh, the only reason you're watching the new Spider-Man is because Tony's there. Only reason you're doing that is Doctor Strange is there. So I think that's kind of what we're looking for this next one. Um, and I think after this Doomsday and Secret Wars, they really need to settle on stuff because I think after that, Avengers needs to be its own thing. I don't want no giant like everyone comes together. The Avengers as a team need to do stuff. Like, you know, you can mix the members up every now and again, but there should only be like a small team every single time. And like whenever they finally go against Galactus, you can bring them back. But that's really it. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.